What is going on, guys? Welcome to another Thursday night for the Dent Digest live show. So we got a good one tonight. I'm super excited. And, you know, it's the craziest thing. It seems like my good buddy Matt Boyette always seems to surprise me with events when I have him on. So it looks like we are debuting a tool, a new tool that Matt's worked with A1. So I'm super excited about that. I just figured that out on Tuesday. So but nothing wrong with that. That's the best part about live shows. You know, you can just figure it out and work through it. But I hope you guys had a great week. Weather here has been a little frigid. You know, we went through like 30 some degrees, and then it's going to be 65, 70 degrees this weekend. So typical Maryland weather, but I'm not complaining for November. Seems like everybody's still kind of somewhat busy working through. I see that the hail's kind of slowed down for those guys, but it's been a pretty good year. At least I think it has, even though we're going through the crazy pandemic and crazy world. But I want to get into this thing because it's going to be a long show. We've got a new tech, up and coming tech, asking questions to a experienced tech, and I thought it would be a really good show, you know, some really good questions for your new guys because you may be feeling the same way. So let me get these guys on and get this thing rocking and rolling. I'll bring each one up separate and let you guys kind of see what's going on. I'm going to bring the experienced guy up. What's up, Matt?
What's up?
How are you?
Good. How are you, sir?
I'm just trying to be like you.
Yeah, what is that? Explain.
Well, I want to say congratulations for one, debuting a tool.
Thanks.
And for two, congratulations on the new retail location.
Thank you. Yes. Been a long time goal of mine, and it's finally in my grasp. So, yeah, we're super excited about it. And I just can't wait to see what I get to do with it. So I'm super pumped. We'll see where it goes.
And you're getting into a retail location in the middle of a pandemic. So, you know, you always sit back and you're always like, people are always like, oh, you know, entrepreneurs take chances. That's how you're going to do it. You're going to take chances. No, you're not just taking chances. You're burning it down. You know what I mean? You're going in hardcore. But you know what? If you can make it through this, and not even someone with a retail location, if a business can physically make it through this pandemic, they're good.
This year was specifically tough. We had a lot of firsts this year for the business, coupled with COVID that hit, and then that really kind of like set us back. But I just wanted to keep progressing forward, man. That's kind of how I live, is just
figure it out.
Forward progress. And
like we said today, head down,
forward progress.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
You know, it's and that's a good thing. Is it's one of those things when you just have this gut feeling. You know what I mean? You can't even explain it. You know, I was talking to a guy today, and you know, I've got some stuff in the works, and I was like, you just have this feeling that, you know, I'm the type of guy to where when I get into something, I'm all in. I'm like you. I'm all in.
Yeah.
And no matter what, I'm going to make it work. No matter what it is, you're going to figure it out. If you got to work Saturday, if you got to work every Sunday, you're going to do what you have to do to make it work.
100%.
So, go ahead.
I was going to say, you know, with the COVID, as soon as this hit, I started seeing some businesses, and I'm looking at the closing and and I'm like, this might be a really good opportunity for some really cheap retail space.
100%.
You know, businesses are leaving. And so I just kind of kept watching, just like a snake, man, just sitting back, just waiting for that opportunity. And I saw it and I pounced. And I mean, you can't control what you can't control, right?
No.
And I can only control what's in my grasp to control. And, you know, what's going to happen with COVID, what's going to happen with, I don't know. And I'm not going to sit around doing this until that figures it out. I'm going to do what I got to do, forward progress. And what happens with this happens with it. You know, if it fails because of COVID or whatever, then I know that it's not because of me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to pour everything I have into this and it'll be what it'll be.
It'll be a really nice place to eat lunch.
Yeah.
All
right, a real nice
me,
garage for my personal stuff.
Let me get the next guest up. What's up, Kyle?
Hey, what's going on? Thanks for having me.
The good old Dent Goblin.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's up,
and
man?
You know, and we were just talking about this earlier before the show started. You know, Kyle's been watching me a long time. Him and his dad for a long time, a couple years.
Yep, for a minute now. It's been a minute for sure. I've learned so much watching you guys just talk PDR. So I'm happy to be able to get on here and ask some questions or things that I deal with and struggle with, and just get to see from you guys' perspective and how you do things. You know, one of the things about me is I've enjoyed learning from so many different techs. I take something from everybody's style. I try to implement it. Even if it doesn't fit, you know, I'll give it a shot. If it's something that I'm not necessarily comfortable with, I'm always happy to give it a shot and see something that works, like something might work better. So I've always been very open-minded, and coming on these shows, or rather watching the shows, I mean, you get to see a lot of different things. I really enjoy it.
And, you know, you're going to be getting your own episode here in the next few weeks. So just buckle yourself up. This one, I just thought it would be a perfect fit, because you're still in the up and coming.
Sure.
You're still trying to grow. You're still trying to learn. And you got old crusty Matt Boyette over there with some really good information.
He does some crazy work. He does some crazy stuff, man. So I'm super excited about it. Can't wait to pick your brain.
So
man, let's do it.
We're going to go into our annual tool run. I'm going to let you guys go first. I'm going to go last because I got something special for everybody. So
okay.
I'm going to let Kyle go first. We'll let the young buck go. So what do you got over there, Kyle?
All right, cool. So this shouldn't be so much of a surprise, but a lot of people have been hearing about this hammer. This is the best. It's from Brazil. What makes it unique and special to me is, one, the shape of the dome. It's very flat, but this handle, the handle is what really sets it apart. You're able to use it from afar. You can choke up with it. The balance and feel that it has is awesome. So I have it in this standard version, but recently, the other day, I actually just got the version with the plastic head, and it is so soft and nice. Doesn't make any divots. It's awesome for knocking down softer crowns. I find in myself that I'm able to blend things out really smooth without making any additional texture. One of the things that I learned watching a bunch of different people is just how to use a hammer, and I was able to find a lot of the benefits of being able to use it. Makes your repairs a lot cleaner in the end.
Now, Manny on that hammer, you know, Manny and I had a real long talk about that hammer.
Oh, yeah?
After he got it, he started using it. I think the one piece, and what Manny and I were kind of going through, talking hammers for 3 hours on a drive or whatever, I think that one piece just generates more vibration. Something about the one piece, you've got to be losing some energy with a screw-on tip somewhere. And that's just my personal.
It's like it's more like a plug, I think, like the Craftsman hammer. So it doesn't actually screw on. It kind of like sits in. So I'll show you like this is the other head that it comes with. So you see how it just kind of pops on there. So It's not exactly a screw on. So you're not really, at least I haven't felt like, it feels, to me, it feels like one piece.
What do you think, Matt? You're a hammer fanatic.
Man, I don't know. I've never used that one. I do have the normal best one, but I think there's something to be said. We covered this in that hammer show. I think there's something to be said about solid head hammers with non-screw-on tips. I think there's something going on there that we haven't really scientifically figured out in our industry that works differently, not saying better, differently on certain cars, certain panels. I mean, I think there's a value to them for sure, to having fixed head hammers with, wood handles, 100%. They've been around for thousands of years.
Yeah.
Just, now they're in our industry and we're tweaking them.
Yeah, for sure. So I would probably have to agree, depending on the type of metal, the type of car, the location of the dent, that stuff all plays a factor into which one that I would pick up, the type of crown, whatever. I still get use out of both of them. Don't get me wrong. I love them both. I use them, I think, for different purposes, I would say.
Sure.
So the second tool I have is this mini pirate hook. I love this thing. Anytime I can get this on a dent, and there's like that little crease line in the dent at the bottom of it, and you can just get this on it and roll it up. The repair comes out so much cleaner. There's like no cleanup work done. Once you can get that line out, this thing is money. And this is the 5/16 version, so it fits in a lot of holes in a lot of good places. Just apply that pressure and then roll it. And this thing is, when you see it happening for the first time, it blows your mind. Blows your mind. And then finally, as a new guy, who I was always into cars, but I never really took things apart. I'm not really like mechanical or anything like that. One of the things I just picked up, or I got this in a set actually. I got a cordless ratchet and a little impact driver. This stuff right here is life-changing for me. I'm not like, oh man, I don't want to take this apart now. I was taking off the fender liner of like a Ram. They got those super long screws. One quick zip comes right off. And if you check Home Depot, I got this in a set of 5 tools with 2 batteries and a charger for $200. So you get this, and then you just sell whatever else that you want to use, and you really don't pay anything. So, gotta have these as a new guy for sure.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, good set of R&I tools are definitely a key.
100%.
It all makes, like today, I had a company come in, and I purchased a bunch of like a whole clip set. So it's like a 4-drawer sliding drawer thing, and it has weather strip clips, hood insulator, fender. I hate those. I get a ton of Toyota Tundras, and it's always a dent in the bedside, and I'm always struggling with that crappy clip that's on there that you have to cut the head off. And then I'm always trying to find something. And I was like, I need a whole drawer full of those. Yeah. And he's like, really? And I'm like, yes, because I hate them.
Is that a Worth guy? Is that Worth?
No, it was Auto Wear over here. So, but loaded me up with clips. And I brought the bill home, and it was like $425. And my wife was like, it's plastic clips, Ryan. And I was like, we need them.
You gotta use them.
Knowing you have that in your back pocket would save me so much headache and kind of fear of being worried about breaking stuff.
I break stuff every day.
Really?
I'm not scared.
I am.
Shane gets in there, and Shane's all gentle. I'm in there like,
yeah. See, that's good to know. Now I know. Maybe I got to start being a little bit more aggressive when I'm taking.
Don't be scared.
You got to know what you can break and what you can't. You got to start there first.
I think I'm just now. So I started 2018 November. So I'm about 2 years in, and I'm just now starting to get pretty comfortable with being able to find access, knowing exactly where to look.
With a drill.
Knowing what kind of holes to look for, looking for the drain plugs, looking for the small molding holes, using 3/16 holes and stuff like that. And it took me a really long time to finally start getting comfortable with just taking apart smaller things and knowing kind of what tools to grab first. That's a huge learning curve. It takes a while, I feel like.
And it's still crazy. I mean, we had a GT3 RS.
Oh God.
And the little trim panel that goes from the quarter to the back window.
Yeah.
It's got these little rubber bands around the clip ends that go in and snap. And the reason so it doesn't vibrate. Well, by the time you get it up in there, the rubber band's either fallen off or rolled all the way back up in. So, now we figured it out, but it's just that type of stuff of you just have to dive in and figure it out.
Yeah, I get quite the opportunity to work on like a lot of cars like that. We have a Porsche dealer that's like right next to us that comes to one of the body shops I service. But every time I see one, I'm just like, oh, I don't want. It's not the most fun.
Hold on 1 second. I gotta go grab something. I'll be like 1 minute, less than 1 minute, 30 seconds.
No worries.
Hold on.
No worries. But
I see a Porsche and I'm just like, oh, especially if it's like a quarter or something. I'm just like, oh, here we go. Here we
See,
go.
I'm lucky. Shane is a big Porsche BMW guy, so he knows. I mean, that he knows, okay, we got to pull this, we got to pull that. So while we're waiting for Boyette, I'm going to go through my tools then.
Okay.
So I got these new tabs, these 2 tabs from Kiko. And you're like, oh, what's different about these tabs? It's their new edge tabs. And what the edge tabs do is the tabs, it's almost like a Cam Auto type tab to where it bends and to where you can glue it into a dog leg, you know, that dog leg edge lip section.
Yeah, sweet.
So it's a great idea, great concept. And I like this. I like their blue. They don't break. You know, you really have to tear these things up. Not saying they won't break, but they're more, I think they're more, I don't know, what's it better? Stronger than the ice. Yeah.
I got a little round version of that one with the little screw, and that thing, man, that's been my go-to tab. Yeah, just a round one, just for like just normal little round dents, and that thing just rips up.
You know,
really good.
I haven't used it yet, so I'll keep you guys posted. The next thing is I started using this thing. It's a Cam Auto hammer. It's carbon fiber, has the big plate here. There's another longer one that's up here, super long, full carbon. And I'll tell you, the weight of this hammer, it's heavy. It's got a titanium tip here, but I really like this puck, and it's been around. I mean, Kiko has it too on one of theirs. This just has more weight to it than Kiko's. And I've really enjoyed using the larger striking surface, you know, if I'm using a knockdown or whatever. But it's really interesting that even the ball at the bottom, and I've never seen this done. It's got this plastic nylon ball at the bottom, and I've never seen carbon threaded like this. So this tip is actually threaded inside the shaft, and I've never seen that. So I thought it was pretty interesting. You know me, I'm taking this, it's brand new, and I'm taking it all apart and trying to figure it out, you know. But I really like the larger striking surface and the pure weight of this. So if I took this up against my Daniel Grom Carbon Tech hammer, this is heavier than that one.
Oh, wow.
So it's got a good heavy, you know, heavy strike. Like I was using one of the VIP knockdowns with the leather heads today, and I was beating it with this thing, and just the pure weight of this just did really well. So good job with this on Cam Auto.
I would imagine with that puck on the side, that adds quite a bit of weight.
Yeah. It
off,
definitely.
correct? Yeah,
it unscrews. There's just a hole there. Now, the most exciting thing that I've gotten this year, and I am so excited, and I'm going to do a tool review on it here soon. I officially got my Dent Reaper fanny pack, and I am so excited about this thing. I know we were talking about it, James Giles' show, the Reaper. It's been like 3 weeks. I've gotten gifts for 3 weeks from the Reaper. So, but this thing is epic. This thing is super excited, and it fits a fat people and everything. I mean, you got the big boy strap. So,
are you gonna try it on for us? We want to see like a little
check
model.
it out.
Yeah, let's see how it fits.
Check it out. Let me check it out here.
You got those some tabs and a knockdown in there.
I may not have any pants on, so let me check if I got pants. But
Yeah.
look at this thing. You guys got to get these things. I'm telling you. John may be a marketing genius. Look at that. You can't even see it. Look at that.
Dude.
Put your knockdowns in here. You put whatever you want in here.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's fantastic, man. It's a great idea.
It's great.
Look at me unplugging my microphone. It's going good over here. But thank you, Dent Reaper.
I think it's
John Vidine.
sweet.
You know, I'm glad I had pants on. That would have been really bad. And I want to bring up, that's done for my tools, but I'm going to let you go, and then we're going to talk some more. Go ahead, Boyette.
Yeah. So I don't know the name of this tool, but I bought it kind of on a whim, and I've been using the mess out of it. This thing is really, really surprising on where I use it. You know, I use it in a hole like this. I use it just as a twisting tool in the doors. And at first, you know, the throw is deceiving because it feels like it's not gonna generate, you know, it's not gonna push out what you need
drive.
to push out, but it
Yeah.
does. It's just weird, the geometry on it that surprised me, and I used the mess out of it. But along with this one, I bought kind of both of them at the same time, which is these stand liners the A1 makes, and man, just really good tools that I find myself using almost every day, if not every day.
Those things give me a lot of jams for real.
Yeah,
a lot of times it's stuff you can't figure out what to get on, and those two tools, for whatever reason, end up getting there.
And then the thing I went to grab out of my shop is, and I don't know who makes it, and so this is what got me thinking. And your power hook got me thinking about it. Was this, but it's just this wire tool, right? Like it's just a wire tool, but it's got this hook on it. But what's unique about this tool is that it'll go in a small hole. You know, you can put it in a real small hole, and then it's basically, you can use it as a whale tail in that hole.
That's sweet.
It's really unique.
Who makes that?
I don't know. I don't know. It was given to me. It's got this.
Looks like a PDQ tool or something. Maybe a Dent Magic tool. I don't know. I've never seen it.
And it's fairly new. I was given it within the last 2 years, I would say. I have a short one of it too. I keep in my van. I keep it in the shop here, but it's like I'm not using it. I'm only using it where I can put it in this little hole and use it as that little whale tail. You know, certain dog legs or that quarter where you put it in a tail light and it gets really thin up there, or it's just out of where you're getting leverage, you know what I mean? And this will go in there and you can use it that way or that way. And it's just really unique. I don't know who makes it, but you know, it's not something I grab every day, but it's one of those that, and you got me thinking about that power hook, because you can use it the same way. I would assume you just stick it in a hole and use it as a whale tail of sorts, twisting, you know. But yeah, those are my three.
So they're saying it's kind of like the Marty Runick tool. It's a little different. I think I have the Marty Runick tool, and it's got a longer roll on it. The Marty Runick tool, so it's more for leverage. So it's got a longer end. So the end is much longer than what you have there. So
yeah.
Next week on Wednesday, the show is going to be on Wednesday. It's our second annual Black Friday show. It looks like I've got just about all of the tool manufacturers lined up for that. We are going to start earlier. I have not figured out exactly what time I'm going to start, so I'll make sure I post that. You'll know by Sunday. I have to work through I'm trying to work everybody's time zone. So, so the guys in California aren't coming on at 1 p.m. You know what I mean? So it's a long show. It'll probably run in between 2 and 3 hours. My wife's going to help me this year with all the logistics of it, just because it's a lot to do. You know, if somebody has technical issues, I can't fix it because I'm live. So, but it seems like everybody enjoyed it last year, and we're actually asking a couple months ago if I was doing it again. So it's a long time to be live, man. 2 or 3 hours is
You're gonna be
brutal. You know, so, and you got 27 guests. It's pretty bonkers. And Manny's going to be co-hosting it this year with me, so it should be a good one.
Oh, nice.
Super excited. So
That's cool.
But Wednesday, it will be Wednesday, not Thursday, and we're going to start earlier, so I'm not doing this till 1 a.m. So I think we're just going to do it, Matt. I think we're going to launch the new tool. So I'm going to put Kyle backstage for a minute. We've got a ton of people in here. We'll put Kyle backstage, and then we're going to bring your tool up, and then we're going to kind of talk about it and then get into our regular planned show. So let's do this. I'm going to put you behind, Kyle.
Sounds good.
I'm going to put you up front, Boyette, and just let it be you and let you go do what you're doing. It's the first time anybody's seen this thing.
Yeah, first time. So it's so this tool, back when I started, I was given a version of this tool. I don't know where it came from, and it's a tool that I've used every day of my career, and slowly changing things or altering it, or changing the tip or little bends of it or the handle, just slowly trying to morphing into what it is now. And man, this thing, like I said, I've used it every day. Today I worked and I got through, I was at one of my wholesale accounts, and I did about 19 cars today. And I looked down at my cart, and at the end of the day, there was 2 tools on my cart, and it was this one and the little blue mini whale tail. And I basically did almost everything besides glue pulling with this tool and that little blue whale tail. And it was just normal door dings, nothing crazy. But between fenders and quarters and doors, this one is it. So this is it. This is called the dentslayer. And you can see this is already well worn. This is a new one that A1 made for me, the kind of the prototype deal. And it's got this smooth, what do you say, like a blunt tip on it, but
kind of like a blade.
It's kind of like a blade, but it's really precise, man. And it'll roll out anything you need to roll out. And the angle, obviously, it's got some really good throw on it. It just grabs. It's not too long. It's not too short, and I think this is important that we're talking about here. The length of this, and then when you come up here to the handle, when they started with these Stanliner handles, I knew there was something to them. The handle that I originally had on it was a similar one to this, just these old school normal things. But I always found myself grabbing it, way back here, not so much. And I think that there's something to these handle designs. And the way that I've been grabbing this thing is just like so. And you go on here, and you're not so much. A lot of the handles now, they're designed, and even with the ratchets, and even a lot of these big leverage handles, everything is back here. And you're getting a lot of force, and that's good. I'm not against those. There's a need for those, but everything is back here behind this center line. And with this one, you're trying to get in. I put my thumb in front of the center line, and I think there's something to this twist, to this linear twist, to where the other stuff, when you do it's different. It'll pull different into that dent, how it responds down here. And I think that this linear twist on this one, with this length of this throw, is very unique, and there's a lot of power generated through this right here. So the handle is important to me, and then the length. The length is to where you're not hitting the door frames on these cars, and this is like your everyday use door tool. This is the first tool I grab for just a random door ding. If you're going down below belt molding, or besides below belt molding or down deep in the door, this isn't the tool for that. But if you're going for just around the door handle, up front of the mirror, anything above that side impact brace, or even right at that side impact brace, this is it. And this will get on just about anything you need to get it on. This is just like the go tool and that goes in your kit that you can just grab and probably get on it and just roll it straight out. And again, the length is important, because it's not tall enough to where it's getting in the line of the door frame if you have something high, but it's also long enough to where it's gonna get basically to where you need a whale tail on most doors. When you get into big, larger trucks and things like that, then obviously we have other tools for a reason. But again, this is your first tool I grab. And man, it's awesome. And the stainless, it's got almost no twist to it. It's very, very rigid. It just now, rocks.
Are they offering that in a ratchet handle?
Yes, absolutely. Yep, they're offering a ratchet handle with A1's style ratchet handle. And I think you have to have that. And obviously in today's world, everybody wants to put a ratchet handle on stuff. And I think it's necessary. I do think it changes the tool, though. I think it becomes a different tool, which is good. I mean, I have ratchet handles and I like them, but I think what happens though is you're going to change the feel of the tool. I honestly think it does. If you grab this tool this way and you put it in the door and you go pushing the dent out, it's going to be different than a ratchet handle where you're back here. But yeah, they make this version of the ratchet handle. I haven't tried the ratchet handle version yet. So of this tool, I haven't. But yeah, they're offering it.
How long is it?
So let's see. I got a tape right here. So overall is 20 inches.
20 inches. Okay.
Overall.
And so then Jesse's asking, who did you have make it?
It's A1 tool. And let me tell you, man, Maria and John have just been absolutely amazing as far as just going through the process with them of doing this. Especially Maria. She's been kind of the contact person for me. And man, I've really just got to know them a little bit through this. I mean, we've talked mostly that I've ever talked to them through this ordeal, and it's just been so good. They're so helpful. They're so amazing. And the way that she's helped me get this going has just been awesome. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to that relationship with them. I think
so. You're mainly using that thing in doors and fenders.
I use it anywhere I can stick it. I'm just going to tell you that. Yes, fenders, I'm going to stick it up in a liner. You know, you go there and you can peel back that liner, jam it up in there, and then I can use it this way. You know, you can use it this way on like a little body line of the, Do
you know the price?
I don't.
So they're running a special tonight. If you order it tonight on the A1 app or their website, it's a discounted price. Price I don't know, so I'm not very prepared.
So I know the other price we talked about, but I don't know what this introductory price is, so I don't want to speak out of turn.
And I don't have the A1 app. I'm a terrible person. So.
I do.
Look at that. The Gray Duck just ordered one on the A1 app. So
how much was it?
If you guys want this thing, tonight is the night to get the discount. He says it's $95 without the ratchet handle.
There you go.
How can you beat that?
Perfect.
That's 2 lunches here in Maryland. But I mean, hey, congrats. I know about it, a while ago with you. I know you were working with them, and it's super cool to be a tech and bring a tool to market. And at the end of the day, and I think you're the same way I am, you're just bringing it to market because you wanted one and it works.
I 100% know that this tool works. Like I said, I've used it every day of my career. I can confidently say, aside from some hail, I mean, obviously I'd use it, but you know what I mean? Like specific stuff, I'm not going to use it, but every day I've used this thing in my career. And this tool, it's kind of like it's kind of like a flathead or a Phillips screwdriver. You got to have one in your kit. It's just going to be so many uses that you're going to use it. Again, we have our specific tools that we covered, and we go through different areas and different things that get different, and you got to have those. But just for like your general multi-use tool, this thing just goes in and it gets on anything you need to get on, and pushes it out clean. And it's like I said, it's that tip, that blade tip. It just nice.
It's exciting. Yeah. Congrats, my friend.
Thank you.
Yeah, they look sweet, man.
Thanks. Good size, good weight, good shape. Good
$119 with ratchet.
There you go.
And then that's like I said, that's a discounted price for tonight for revealing it. I don't know what the retail price will be after tonight. So if you guys can get on there, get that thing ordered up. See what happens. But let's get into the show. I want to kind of get in here and really get into the questions. And what my plan for tonight's show was, the new tech asking an experienced tech questions about PDR and about PDR business. And I thought these two were perfect perfect people for this, because Matt's kind of done it all. He's kind of done retail. He's also done, hail. He's done a little bit of everything, and he's an old Dent Wizard guy, and he's been around. And Kyle's fairly new. I know, I think you were. I don't want to get into your whole story because I want to save that for an episode. But you were pretty much online, correct?
All online.
You learned your skill all online?
I learned everything online. Yep. Jim Mitchell, Real World PDR, held me down. I was able to just go through his video series pretty much. He would text back and forth with me from time to time to help me out. But I learned just by watching his videos and then watching other guys do things and having conversations and listening to shows like this. And, I just put my head down in the garage, worked on hoods, worked on cars, and figured it out.
Nice.
Obviously, I had all that help and all the theory and seeing other people do it on video and stuff like that, which makes a big difference. But at the end of the day, you still got to put in the work to get it figured out, to get that feel and everything down. So
nice.
Richard's asking, is it stainless steel? Yes, it is.
Yes.
And then Matt from Get a Grip is saying, do you have your own site or is it just through A1?
Nope, just through A1. They're doing it all.
And John, it's the dentslayer, correct?
The name of the tool is the dentslayer. Yes.
All right, Kyle. Looks like it's your time, buddy. I'm glad we got those shaking off those sweaty palms and getting this thing going. So, Matt, you ready to get grilled?
Let's do it, man. I'm 100% ready.
Have at it, Kyle. Let's start with question number one.
So this is kind of basically starting from the beginning as far as when you're talking to customers. So how do you have people send you pictures so this way you can see the maximum amount of damage where it's not like a close-up picture of the dent and you can't really see anything? Do you have any kind of verbiage or cues to tell them on or instructions that you give them when taking pictures of the damage to give an estimate or whatever?
So I do. So generally speaking, I try to talk to my customers verbally. A lot of times that just happens through the text and then I'll default to just that. But if I can, I try to talk to my customers. I don't skip that step. I know a lot of guys think that might be less efficient way to do it, but I do feel like people come to me because of me and I want to deliver on that. And I know that generally when I talk to someone, I'm going to get way more information. Maybe it's less efficient at the beginning, but at the end of the day, I would much rather talk to someone and just go through that process with them, selling myself and finding out what happened, what hit it. Was it another car that hit it, or was it a shopping cart, or was it what happened? And I kind of like to go through that and then have them send me photos. So the photos are an addendum on top of our conversation, but that's not always going to happen, right? You're going to get the photos. And so when someone sends me photos, I know, and we all should be aware that someone's looking for something that's fairly quick. And so the more involved I'm going to make that process for them, getting that number out of me, they're probably going to shy away. So I'm trying to make that as efficient as possible so that I can kind of keep them, I don't want to have them go through 10 steps to get me photos before I can tell them a price and they're like, oh, that's too high or whatever. So I'm trying to get them through that efficiently. So, I tell them, I say, can you send me some photos that best depicts your damage? That could be 1, that could be 10. I leave that up to you. And then I'll kind of go through that process of it, and then as far as how many that is. And then if I still need further photos, because as a technician, and the more you do it, the more you're kind of going to know what you're looking at. And I can see dents in photos that maybe they don't know that I can see, because they'll send me all the time. Well, you can't really see it in the photo. And I'm like, just send it to me.
Yes.
And usually if I can't see it in the photo, that's a good sign anyhow.
That's what I say too, yeah.
But I'm telling you, there's an app, and I've said this in another show. It's called PixArt.
Yeah.
And you can go in there, you can put the photo of the dent in there, go to a filter, which brings it into a negative, and it'll invert that photo so it looks like a negative. And you can really see the damage. Even on panels, it's a white car in the sun, and I'll invert it, and I'm like, whew, look at this thing. You know, and another key to that whole thing with the photos is, just like you said, I'm one to always call them, you know, and have that conversation. A lot of guys will quick text back. I want to have that personal
100%.
feedback. For one, a lot of times if I get you on the phone and we have a good conversation, I'm going to get the job over the next guy, even if I'm more expensive.
100%.
You know, one thing that I do personally is send me a couple different angles and send me a photo stepped away. Cause you always get that guy that's taking a picture of the dent and he's like right here. And I'm like, what am I looking at?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I see the dent, but I can't get an idea of the size. So I always tell them the last thing, the most important important picture is one stepped away so I can see the location of the damage. And I started that probably maybe last year, and it's really helped with me. Instead of saying, can you send some additional photos? Can you send some additional photos? It seemed to really help, but it's tough, man. I mean, it's sometimes you're like,
I try to get them to send me photos of the dent, right? Because I want to see the dent, and there's got missing paint, you know, what's going on with the dent. And then I'll say, can you show me a photo where it's a zoomed out one where it shows me where it is in context of the rest of the vehicle? You know, is it in front of the quarter panels, or the back by the tail light? Is it in front of the gas door? You know, those are the things I want to know. So yeah, that zoomed out, you know, in context with the rest of the car, you know. And then if that's not showing enough, then I'll just say, hey, man, I can't see enough in these photos to really give you a good price, a fair price, and I don't want to overprice it or underprice it. So can you send me a short video of it? And then the video usually seals the deal for me, as far as I should know by then if I can get it or not.
Cool.
That's my process.
That's pretty helpful, because I definitely can see how speaking to them about how the damage occurred and everything like that will give you a much better idea of what you're dealing with, just because, you know, if it's hit by a shopping cart, there's going to be some residual damage or whatever that might not show up in the photo. But just from hearing that it was a shopping cart, you know, it would definitely give you a better idea. So
the other thing, when you speak to them, I'm big on classifying my customer. And just from a photo, I can't really classify that customer. And what I mean by classify, within the first 3 minutes of that conversation, I can tell if they're shopping. I can tell if they're shopping me, trying to get the lowest price, if it's a referral, if it's, hey, I found you on the internet. I classify that customer in different classes. And what that does is it helps me price the job. You know what I mean? It helps me sit back and say, okay, he's really interested. You know, you get the people, well, I can't send you pictures. You're never going to see it. They're the customers most of the time that, if they don't want to send you the photos, they're not going to get it fixed anyway, because you're going to give them a price and they'll be like, oh, I thought it was $50. So
I would ask the question to yourself, why are they calling you?
Yeah.
Right. Like, why did they call you? Did someone hear about you? Was it something they saw on Instagram? You know, like because they're calling you for a price. And I understand there is an efficiency factor that you have to be when you're down and your hands are in a fender liner and you're pushing, and you're like, you can't always be on the phone with people. I understand, like, at some point you're not going to get nothing done if I were doing answering the phone. But I also understand that there is a value to being real with people and talking with people. And when people call me, I don't want to undervalue that fact that they might want to talk to me and get the reason that they're calling me. Like, you know, as far as maybe they saw my Instagram, their Facebook, and they want to come here and have me fix their dent. And so I want to talk to them. I want to get a feel for that and get that personality going. And you can find so much more from a conversation, right, than through text. And I feel like something is cold about text. So, unless you know the person, like, we could text all day, but if you don't know the person, there's something cold and kind of sterile to that. Versus when we get on the phone, there's a warmth and a personality that comes through that I think I can overcome, any of the obstacles as soon as I start talking to them. So I don't want to undervalue that they might want to talk to me.
That makes a ton of sense.
Now, what do you do if it's a dent you can't fix? Do you call them back or do you send them an automated text?
I would say it depends, but I'm not against calling them back. I mean, because I want to tell them why I can't fix it. I don't want them to just be like, no, I can't fix it. Whether or not this guy thinks it's a waste of time or blah, blah, blah. Like maybe he can't do it. I want to talk to them, but tell them why I can't. Like, hey, here's the reason why. It's X, it's Y, it's Z. These are whatever those reasons are. So,
and there's two different things to that. And the reason I say that is because, I had some really in-depth conversations with some other techs that have been doing it a long time and kind of pick their brains in how they handle it. And one thing that I do, I'm going to pull this up and I'm going to just read it to you. And if it's stuff that I know that's just blown out of the way, if they drove down a guardrail and you can't fix it. And this is what the text says. And it's an automated text. I just go in and I hit A3 and it automatically generates a text. So you don't have to manually enter it. And it says, first, I would like to thank you for considering RPS Dent Specialist for your dent repair needs. Unfortunately, your damage is not able to be repaired with our PDR process, but we can direct you to a body shop that can assist you with your damage. I give 3 different body shops in 3 different areas that I service. Then it says, if you have any further questions, feel free to give us a call anytime. Thank you, Ryan Shutt, owner, and my phone number.
Perfect.
And it's been a double-edged sword. I think some people feel like I'm blowing them off because I'm not calling them back. But on the other end, some of my shops call me and say, man, thank you so much for that referral. It's a double-edged sword. So you kind of, back to what you were saying, you almost have to get that feel of the customer.
Sure.
So
100%.
That's
100%.
Okay, so I have a question that kind of coincides with that. At what point, even if it's, let's say you can repair it, at what point do you kind of make the business decision not to? Like how many hours of work, or is there like a specific number factor? What kind of factors go into maybe making a decision of something that you could fix if you wanted to take all the time in the world to do it versus just sending it to the body shop?
Yeah, that's a tough one. So generally speaking, for me, if I can fix it, I want to fix it. Now, obviously there's a price factor here that we have to narrow that gap on, but I'm not always looking at everything through the lens of the dollar. And I'm probably going to get a lot of grill for saying this here, but like, I know that my life value here, and if I could have another sign printed up right here, it would say there's things that are of more of value just besides money. There's other things that have value besides money. And I don't just look at everything through the lens of that dollar. And so if I can fix it, I genuinely want to fix it, right? I'm in the business of servicing people. Money is a product of what I get for that service. So I want to have that dollar gap meet my time, obviously, right? We're all here to do that. But I don't just say, this isn't worth my time or whatever that is. If I can fix it, I want to fix it. And I don't want them going to a competitor and them solving the problem. I want to be the one who solves the problem for them. So I do kind of start with that, like, can I fix it? That's my first question. Yes, I can fix it. Okay, now what do I need to fix this? And then I feel it out. And if it's a 20-year-old girl who goes to college and she just got in an accident, just being honest, my price is going to be different for her than if she's a 65-year-old retired lawyer who, whatever. I'm going to try to adapt to meeting that need for her. And price will be what the price is. And again, I'm trying to drive this industry and I want prices to be what they are, but I don't just coldly put a price on something without having that personality behind it with what's going on, what happened. And that's where I want to talk to them. Oh, this is my first car. I was at school and someone backed into me and blah, blah, blah. I did one the other day. It was a 18-year-old kid who's driving his dad's car. And, you know, I fixed this. It was a quarter panel on the door. He ran this car into a ditch. He parked it like in a ditch and tried lifting it out of the ditch and put his whole torso into the quarter panel of this softest metal car on the planet, these FSRs or these BRZs, you know what I mean? These Toyota FSRs or whatever, the FRS, in his whole quarter panel. And so I'm looking at this kid and I threw him a number and, you know, we did the job and he come back and he paid me like this. Like I had in almost ones and 20s, you know what I mean? The way that he paid me. And I could tell like that was from cutting lawns or for whatever he did to get that money. And I don't want to undervalue that. So I'm not going to just put a cold price on something that doesn't take into account that factor, right? You know what I mean? Like, because I want to be the solution guy for that guy. I want it to be worth my time, but also I want to fix that repair. And maybe that guy's going to refer me to his dad, who is that high-paying client that can afford all, you know what I mean? Or his neighbor. So there's so many times like that to where maybe the money hasn't matched the repair, but I've done it anyhow. And it's come back multiplied for me. So just maybe not look through everything through the lens of the dollar. I mean, you can start there. Just don't, you know, let that be always a determining factor.
And one of the guys in here says that he thinks it's tough as a new tech. He goes, I may be able to fix it. It may take 10 hours when with you guys, it may take 3 hours. But the only reason it's taken us 3 hours is because we've spent those 10-hour days in the dark with our headlights on the car, fixing this dent, sweating, starving in the cold weather. So, you know, you're almost getting paid for the experience.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's.
So Kyle's got no sound. Hold on one
That's
second.
what we're talking about right now. I mean, that's the time behind the tool, right? That's cashing in those dividends or that equity on those years spent. Whether or not that's that's a shortcut or whatever that is, a technique or a way to start your repair clean from the beginning that doesn't, you know, have all this cleanup time at the end.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, that's equity we're cashing in as technicians who have been doing it for the amount of time we've been doing it.
All right. Kyle's lost sound, so he couldn't hear us. But yeah, I mean, I've spent plenty of time, you know, and I'll tell you an instance right now. Let me pull Kyle up again.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can.
That was weird.
I know. I have to go back and watch that.
You know, you look back, and I had a lady call today, and we've slowed down. You know, so when you get slow in the winter, you grab it, whatever you can grab, you know, work-wise, which I don't mind being slow a little bit. And I had a lady call, and she's saying she has a dent in her bumper. And I explained to her, I just said, hey, you know, unfortunately in our company policy, I don't do any type of bumper repair. And she's like, really? And I said, yeah, you know, I kind of have veered away from that. And I get calls every week about it. And I explained to her the reason I've walked away from those type of repairs are, personally as a company, I never feel like it's perfect, and I never feel like the customer is 100% happy. Yeah, it looks better. Some of them you can get perfect, but that's a very small amount. I feel like it's just kind of a Band-Aid on the project, and I don't want them to say, yeah, RPS fixed my bumper, and somebody looks at it and says, really? You know what I mean? Me personally, I will lose money instead of trying to make money, if you know what I mean. For me as a company, you have to make those business decisions and saying, is it worth me to do that repair? Is it worth not just your time or, okay, I'm going to get paid for it, but is it worth, your name is on that car.
Right.
You own it at that point. So, you know, that's the business decisions you have to make personally. Like I said, a lot of these guys in here will fix bumpers. I just don't, because I feel like I'm not giving a good product. So,
well, it's not necessarily our wheelhouse. I mean, we're you're swerving out of your lane a little bit when you're crossing over those bumpers. You know, my lane is PDR and metal panels on cars. You know, can I get this tool in there and push out a bumper and kind of make it okay looking? Yeah. I mean, in a lot of cases, you're heating and you're pushing and you're doing all this and you're trying to reform it and you're scratching your head and, you know, so, I mean, you got to make those decisions, right? Like, and that's case by case for me. Yeah. I'll do them, but it's case by case. I don't advertise that by no means.
Go ahead, Kyle, you're up.
Okay. So that also kind of segues into another question I had. How many feet away from a finished repair, would you say you shouldn't be able to see the dent? So like, what is a level? And obviously, I guess this is a multi-level question because it depends wholesale to body shop to retail. How many feet would you say you stand away from the panel and look down the side of the car to try to really find the dent? How hard do you go with that?
I mean, I wouldn't gauge it by feet. I mean, and I guess it depends on the dent. I mean, if it's just a door ding, even if it's a stretch, if it's a small dent, you know, that's going to be different than if it's a crushed in door, right? Where there's shape, or there's the overall shape. Where a door dent, you're not necessarily thinking about the shape of the panel. You're just getting the dent out and you're making sure it's not high and it's clean. Whereas if you're looking at a bigger job, then you're trying to get the shape right? You're trying to get that arc back in that panel or whatever that is, that body line laid back. And so, but you got to know that there's a certain point to where you can look at it 20 feet away, right? I got to repair it within an arm's reach. That at the end of the day, that's all we got. I mean, you got blending hammers that are long and you got tools that, you know, I understand they try to get the reach, but at the end of the day, you got to be able to touch that repair. So if you want to go back and you want to stand back and you want to look at this wave that's, you know, you're 20 feet back. Okay, it's a little bit high there, and you get up on it and you're trying to repair it. Now you're kind of guessing, right? You don't have your and so it has to be realistic with what you're trying to do. And it has to be realistic with the expectation of the repair. I mean, if it's a crushed in door, and again, man, I don't give up on something until I've exhausted everything that I have, whether or not that's the tooling or whether or not that's my capabilities. Like, I'm going to push on something. That's what I was saying about this dollar thing. Like, the dollars are product of what I get for my time, but my time is what I put into that. And that dent isn't just, I'm not just getting the money from that one dent. I'm getting the money from the next dent and the next dent who that person recommends or that job brings me. So every dent I'm putting 110% in. Now you get into some wholesale stuff. We're talking a different story. We're talking retail. I'm giving 100%, 110% onto that, trying to make it look as clean as possible with what I got. And there are limitations to that, right? And reach is that, you know, if you can't reach it, it's hard for you to fix it. You know, if you can see it 20 feet back, that's different. So,
and I think as a new guy, in the back of your head, okay, we're all out there to make money. We really are. We're all out there hustling. We're busy. It's cold. It's hot. You're just trying to get on to the next stop. I got it. But as a new guy, like I tell Shane, mentally in the back of your head, right now as a new tech coming up, you need to make every dent perfect. Perfect. Doesn't matter if it's wholesale. Doesn't matter if it's anything, because you have to look at, you have a wholesale account. That manager or the guy that owns that wholesale account goes to the auction with 300 other guys that he knows. And he's sitting here saying, my dent guy can fix that. And they're like, what? Yeah, my dent guy can fix that. You gain more accounts that way. Okay. What it also is doing, it's setting yourself mentally on this track of making it gets easy at that point when you're fixing a dent, even retail, and it's a smash. Mentally in the back of your head, you're going to make it perfect. So in your head, you just need to sit back and say, I'm going to make every dent perfect. Is it stretched? Is it nasty? Yes, we've all done it. we've all sat back. I had one today, and I was like, I can't. This thing can't be. It's not going to get perfect. But I spent time on it. I probably spent an hour longer than I should have. But you try in the back of your head, make everything perfect. Even if it's a $45 wholesale account. All that's going to do, you're getting paid to practice. You're getting paid to get faster, dude.
Definitely something with a newer guy, and that comes into play, obviously, a little bit more because, like you said, you're getting paid to practice. And, put in that time behind the tool, man. That's the only thing. When I was on the Hail Trail, we'd get through some cars really quickly, and you'd have these guys beside you, and they're newer guys, and they're trying to get through the cars the same speed as you. And you look at them, you're like, man, like you're not impressing me right now, guy. Because if you wanted to impress me, make that car look where I can't come over there because you're going to spit it out as fast as me, and I'm going to come over there and look at it, and it's not going to look as good as mine. If you want to impress me, spend the time on it, make it look good. Don't worry about the speed. The speed will come.
Yes. You're
not fooling nobody. Like, you're not fooling anybody with the speed. Get the dent looking right. That's when you're going to impress me. If it takes you 2 days to fix it, I don't care. Did you fix it? Yes. All right. High five. That's good to go. If you rock something out in 2 hours because you're trying to make, experienced guy money, and you spit out some nasty thing, well, you didn't impress anybody. You know what I mean? So spend the time on the dent. You're investing in yourself first and foremost. And again, don't worry about the dollar. I mean, I think have that in your head, but the money will come, man, if you do the right thing and you do the right product.
I believe that. Yeah, for sure. Okay. So question regarding, we were speaking about body shops a little bit. How are you guys pricing out your body shops, and are you giving body shops retail quality work? Because, I service a bunch of places, and they expect really good work, but then they don't want to pay. How do you guys navigate that?
So I'm gonna let Ryan speak on that more than me because he's the body shop guy. I do body shop work, but I think Ryan has a much better.
A lot of that stuff I've spent the time, I've invested into a lot of these shops in training the estimators, training most of the managers. For one, what I can fix. For two, how to price it. Most of my people in all the body shops are within $50 to $80. So they're either $50 or $80 more or $50, $80 less. A good thing that I did is if you have Mobile Tech RX, go on there, print out the price guides, Paul Corden price guide or the tactical, laminate them, and give it to everyone in that building. And that'll get them on track. But a lot of it, I challenge them. I'll walk up, they call me about a dent. I go there to go look at it. What would you put on this? And they're like, $45. I'm like, man, I don't get out of bed for $100. I mean, come on. So you're training them, and it takes time. It really takes time. And then I build in their discount. So I'll take the Paul Corden, and depending on the dent, I'll either knock off the 20% from there, and it's this plus cost. You always have to say that, because if you tell them it's $125, they're going to mark it as $125, and you're going to walk out of there with 85. So you always need to say that, okay, it's 125 plus that's cost. And then they'll add their markup if they're charging the customer or the insurance company. But a lot of it is just spend time with them. Just get in there and give them the price guide and say, look, here's a really good guide. Explain the price guide, how you can break it down. Look how easy it is. Here's already a ruler on here. You can just take this. It's 3 inches. You look on here, 3 inches, boom. Then you're in that ballpark of where you're pricing. Then you can kind of turn it whatever way you want to turn it. Okay. But the biggest thing is education on these guys, because they don't know. They go in the CCC one and they click a nickel-sized dent, and they're like, oh, here it is. Boop. No, that's a quarter size dent through a body line and it has aluminum door and it's laminated glass. They just don't know, you know. So
Right.
you really have to spend that time and educate them.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you. That helps.
Even though you've been doing work for them now, you can do that. The biggest thing is make it seem like it's Christmas time coming up. Perfect time to do this. There's guys that make price guides and you can get your logo put on them. Or if you want to be cheaper, which I did because I went through a lot of them, Mobile Tech RX, printed out the price guide, laminate them, bought a little cheap laminator off of Amazon and laminate them at home. Whew, hey, you know, give it to them with whatever if you're giving them candies for Christmas or whatever. Hey, here's a price guide. Next week, come back and show them how to use it. It's huge, man. It's huge. You know, a big thing that I did with the body shops, I did a price guide and these clipboards that I had made, and I gave them to all my body shop estimators, and it went over so well. So, you know, that stuff I can share with you offline just to kind of get into detail on that. But a lot of it's education, man.
Yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate it. Now, do you guys find yourselves having leverage issues a lot of the time? If you do know that you're going to have a leverage issue, do you just immediately start taking something apart? Does that depend on the account? I find myself glue pulling a lot because either whatever, I'm not 100% sure how to get the best leverage. Certain parts of the panel, maybe I don't have all the tools that I need, you know, so early in the game. How soon are you going to start taking stuff apart when you realize you don't have the leverage, or do you take stuff apart, or kind of what I'm just wondering if I'm the only person out here struggling to get leverage a lot of the time.
No, let me say no. I think your tool selection is some of your problem.
Again. Hang on.
Losing Kyle again. Hello? He gone.
He gone.
We'll give him a minute.
I see some people are ordering the dentslayer.
We are. Look at that.
Yeah, I see some.
Look at that. And she
orders
did
coming
say
through.
it is $99 and $119 for the ratcheting handle for tonight. So make sure you get that Dent Digest discounted price. The reveal.
Absolutely.
Kyle's back.
I don't know why my sound just keeps dying after I ask a question. It's weird.
Yeah. So, what was the question?
About leverage. He was asking if we struggle with leverage or if we take things apart.
Leverage is the ultimate challenge for a dent guy, right? I mean, everything we do is leveraged base to some degree, right? I mean, other than glue pulling, I would say, but like, of course, that's the ultimate thing is generating leverage, and that's going to come with the tools, you know, the specific tools, and then it's going to come with all these other little devices that we use, blocks of wood and different little hooks and things like that. I mean, it's always that fight, right, for the right leverage. And you know, I think when you know, at some point you have to get this kind of X-ray Iron Man vision. When you go look at a dent, you're not just looking at, I'm not looking at the outside of the dent. Like I already did 5 seconds ago. Now I'm looking at the inside of the dent. Like, you know, and a lot of times when I'm talking to the customer, I'll get down, I'm kind of looking at the dent and kind of feeling it. And my head is inside. Like visually, I'm outside kind of appraising the damage and whatever. And I'm thinking, but I'm sitting there thinking, how am I going to work on this? What am I going to use? What tool do I have? I know what this looks like inside. I know this is all, you know, I'm going through all those things in my head while I'm just kind of caressing the outside of this dent, looking like a creep.
Matt
right?
just said caressing.
But you got to be, man, it's always this leverage fight. And, you know, I would say invest in the tools, right? I mean, that's what we're talking about. Invest in the tools. You got to always be up on that game. And then also like invest in the non-specific, like the little stuff that you don't think about that are just going to be crucial to gaining that leverage. But then you also just, you gotta kind of think outside the box sometimes into, you know, just different things that you're going to use to create leverage. I saw, I think Toledo was using some sandbag stuff for, that's stuff's awesome stuff I never thought about. It's just great. You know, it's nothing worse and you finally get that leverage, man. You got a tool on there and you get this leverage and your tool's flexing and you can feel that leverage just about to bow.
Yeah.
Or it slips, man. You know, and it's like hoping your fingers are out of the way when that does slip, or hoping you didn't jack up whatever you're working on. But it's getting, that good leverage is always that fight. And so think outside the box and invest in the tools. And I mean, there's a lot of stuff coming out now that has all that stuff in mind.
One of the struggles is I don't necessarily know exactly what I'm going to need until it comes up. Because so many different cars have different shapes and different curvatures, and then the access is in different places. So it's like, it's definitely kind of tough in the beginning trying to figure out what's, like you said, specialty tools that you might need, because again, I'm not really sure until I come across it. And I'm like, oh, I need something that hooks like this and back around this way. But when it happens, so I guess really experience has been the best teacher in kind of figuring that out. And
I think your biggest struggle, step one on leverage, is tool selection. Yeah. I think you need to stick a tool in that panel. Okay, this isn't going to work. What do I get next? Go next, go next, go next. Then you get to that point. Okay, maybe if I took this apart and I could get in here and bolt my Revolution PDR leverage tool in there and get in there and do that. So I think your first step would be tool selection. And then, like Matt said, think outside the box. Can I put a 2x4 here? Can I put a sandbag here? Can I leverage off of this? So a lot of that's the same problem I have with Shane. He's very narrow-minded in that end of tool selection. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, bro, we got a whole truck full of tools. Keep moving on.
Yeah.
Keep moving on. So...
Well, I think you got two things too, just to kind of go back to this a little bit. Let's just say you're going to have like complex damage, leverage problems, like a bedside that's crushed in front of the tire. Okay, that's a leverage. The first thing we're dealing with leverage, right? Like that's the first thing you're thinking about. What the heck am I going to do? I'm going to be on my back all day. I know that, on the freaking concrete, on a creeper, dealing with some leverage stuff. So you got that kind of complex leverage damage. And then you're going to have other stuff, just like maybe inside a door, inside a quarter. But those are maybe problems that have already been solved as far as with tools that you might not know about. There's some stuff that we're still solving in this industry, how to fix, different things and how to get that best leverage. But a lot of that is just going to be familiarity with tools that are out, and a lot of this stuff has already been answered, right? With a lot of there's a lot of stuff out there that, the days are getting smaller where you got to carry around a 4x4 and a 2x4 and a block of wood to get anything done. I mean, there's a lot of answers and solutions now to problems that have already been answered in the past years. So just get familiar with some of that stuff.
I will admit that it definitely took me a little longer than I would have liked to realize you can use whatever tool wherever, as long as you get leverage. In the beginning, I remember thinking like, oh, door tools for the door, the fender tools for the fender. But not quickly, but I eventually figured out like it really doesn't matter. It's just really where you can get leverage and what fits. And so that, I think that was a big, once I kind of figured that out, it made a big difference. I would say for sure.
Sure.
So I guess it kind of ties in a little bit. Sharp dents, do you guys just try to muscle them up? Are you knocking them down? What's your attack?
So are you talking as like a stretch dent, or are you just talking kind of just sharp?
Let's say a sharp dent on a high tension area.
Like a BB shot?
It doesn't have to be necessarily that sharp, but in that general realm. So like, let's say something like top of a tailgate or something like that.
So a tight area with just a sharp pin in it.
Mm-hmm. And also, is it virtually impossible not to make texture in an area like that? Because I have a tough time trying being able to do that without sanding. I feel like it almost always have to sand at the end.
So you got a couple questions there. So I mean, I think every dent is going to be different. And I think,
Sure.
Ryan, maybe we lose a little bit of this because we just kind of instinctually know what to grab, where we're not thinking what to grab sometimes, right? That's probably a little bit of what's going on, because a lot of times, man, when it comes to that, I just instinctually, oh, I know I need this tool, and I just go grab it. And so, but generally speaking, if I'm using if it's a sharp dent, like a BB shot, I'm not going to go with a big old rubber honker and volcano that thing. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to answer the bottom of that dent and just dial it in. Probably like a ball tip, not like necessarily like a big old sharp tip, probably like a little ball tip where it's going to kind of open that out where I can knock that rim back down. On like a tight accent, like an edge panel, like you're saying, like a tailgate, that's going to be different too, man. Ryan, a good old Dent Wizard Johnson with a wood tip. Do you remember those wood tips, those Kevlar tips?
Yep.
They're like canvas. They say they're wood. They're not really wood. They're like a rolled canvas and like.
I feel like
resin.
it's like, I don't know, what's the name? Almost like a coconut. It's got like a weird texture to it. Yeah,
and those are the kind of tips that I think about for those tight body line type edge of panel things, where it's going to go in, it's going to give you a hard push, but obviously not hard where it's going to make you have work on the back end, right?
I think the first thing is heat is what I go at.
Heat.
I just did a fender on Saturday here at my house, super sharp, nasty dent, and I actually used the VIP round spike ball, and I've been using it for some time, so I've gotten pretty good at that tool, to where I can almost pinpoint my pushes. You would think a thing with multiple spikes on it, you're gonna just pizza it, but it's so clean in getting that center up. I did have to sand it, but a lot of times with some of those really sharp ones, you've got to, don't be as scared, because it's a super tight. I know that top part of that tailgate, if you get dented right there, which happens all the time, like on a Chevrolet, you have that little ledge, the top pad, and sometimes you don't have a choice, because if you get in there with a rubber tool and you're cranking, it's just going to be a big swollen pregnant mess, and you're going to have that pit in the center, so you almost sometimes have to get in there and just make some pushes in that center to kind of shrink it a little bit. But also sometimes I open them up, I'll make that thing kind of big and long, and Shane will look at me. He's like, damn, man, that dent's 3 times the size. I'm like, yeah, but it's going to be so clean when it comes together.
Comes up. Yeah.
Sure. The question about sanding, I've heard it kind of raised on other forums, about sanding or not. And, we didn't create the damage. Like, something hit your car, something damaged your car. What are your options? Me or the paint shop? And if I go in there and if I know, hey man, I can fix this, but I'm going to have to sand it at the end of the day, I don't feel bad about that. I'm going to do it with pride, knowing that I got it as best as I possibly can. Do I start the dent wanting to sand it? No, but is it a necessity sometimes on the back end of that dent in order to fix it, in order to save them? Did a tailgate today. That was that, guy had it for 5 hours. He backed it into the garage, brand new truck, and he's freaking out. And it's one of those, is like, man, I don't know if we can fix it without the paint popping off. Like, it's just that bad. And he's like, well, it's my only option. We go in there and fix it and get it looking. These guys ecstatic, and save the guy a whole tailgate on a 5-hour old truck. Mm-hmm. And, if I got to sand that in order for that to happen, I'm going to sand it, save him from sending that car to a body shop.
And Dave 100%. Haxton's saying proper sanding saves the UV coating. I'm a 3000 grit guy. I'm sanding so lightly. I'm not, my chances of burning anything or getting that deep, I'd really have to sand if I got that deep, So you really just sometimes just barely, and sometimes I see guys, and I've seen it on other cars, to where guys have sanded a repair and it looks worse after they sanded it because there's no texture. It's a big flat spot.
Yeah.
So, a lot of it's just, it's all situational based.
All situational. And I mean, you got to figure that out. And it's the customer, and it's the dent, it's the repair, it's all of it. I mean, but.
With like crease work, getting anything that's, let's say, bigger than 6 inches or something like that, do you guys usually start with glue, or are you going to go straight to a rod? Obviously, if you can get a pirate hook or something like that on it, that's the ideal situation. But I feel like a lot of the times you can't, depending on where it is. How do you guys usually start out creases?
Depends on how deep it is.
Let's say medium to sharp.
So I've got a kind of a good answer, I think, for that. When I started, the glue pulling wasn't what it is today. I remember when someone brought me my first glue pulling kit, it was like, here you go. And I was like, get this thing out of here. Like, I'm going to just push the dent. I'm not going to glue pull this dent out. And at the beginning, it was a joke with the glues and the solvents getting the stuff off. And, nothing, technology wasn't there. And so what I'm getting at is that you had to know how to work a crease with a tool. You had to know how, or you just weren't going to fix dents as a dent guy. I mean, creases are part of what we do. And if you don't know how to tool out a crease, then what are you doing? So I think you got to know how to work a crease effectively with the tool. Now 100% there's advances with these things out now with the crease tabs and the glue and the lifters and the things that get them all out at the same time. Like, you need to absolutely capitalize on that. And if I can do a crease with a crease tab, we were talking, if I could put a crease tab on there and snap it and get that thing out in 5 seconds versus trying to tool that thing, of course I'm going to do that. But I also know how to tool that crease from beginning to end. So I think, and this goes back to the new guy, old guy stuff, is just, I think what I see as an older tech looking at newer techs is they just default to glue. They default, I'm just going to glue pull. I'm just going to glue pull. I'm going to glue pull it. And maybe that is a good answer for that dent, but maybe it's not the best answer for you as a tech, because you're losing something there if all you do is just glue pull everything and you don't know how to put a tool on something. Because time's going to come where you're going to have to tool something and you're not going to know what you're doing, or whatever. Maybe it's a repaint, whatever the circumstances are. You got to know how to go in and attack that crease effectively and not just default to glue. I get something cringes in me when I hear that, because like, I'm just going to glue it. I'm just going to glue it. That's fine. Just don't skip the process. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't skip that I don't know, that ability to be able to go in and tool that stuff out. That's my pet peeve, man.
And I'm going to go in, tool it before I glue it a lot of times.
Really?
It really depends on how sharp it is. And that's the old school of me. You know what I mean? Like, our glue 100%. Kits, Kyle, were crap. We had these oval Worth tabs and some glue remover that was pretty much took any glue you used and made it slime.
Yeah.
So times have changed. Even me as an old guy now, I do glue more than I ever did before. And that's just me trying to evolve with time and technology. But if I can put a tool on something, I'm tooling it before I glue it. If I know I can bring it up
100%.
cleaner and I know I can get in there, I'm faster with a tool than I am with glue.
100%.
Cool.
Hold on. And I think, Ryan, sometimes that can be our downfall a little bit.
Yes.
Like sometimes, and I confess to that, is that sometimes, we get so old school minded that you don't acknowledge the new ways of doing things. And so you got to have a foot on both sides of the fence with that. 100%. There's so many times where I'm tooling something or whatever it is, and your buddy walks up and he's like, "Oh, just glue it," and freaking A, man. I'm just so locked into that old way of thinking about something. So
that's like Shane. I mean, Shane will look at me and be like, "Cold glue," and I'm like, just push that. He's like, no, we're cold gluing this.
Yeah. Well, I spent a lot of time watching like a lot of the Brazilian guys, and from that, I spend so much more time knocking down now, and I'm really comfortable with my knockdown and hammer that a lot of times when I glue pull, I know I can glue pull a nice controlled high, get it nice and smooth, and then just be able to lay it back down flat again. Versus sometimes I feel like when you push, not always, but I just feel like it's easier not to leave any waves after pulling it high and then kind of laying it back down flat for me. And like you said, I definitely do default to it. If I'm like, it's kind of dodgy, I know I could put my crease killer feet on it and snap it up and knock it down and be done. I 100% do that. But just for me and having the technology and the access, when you see Gene Fetty pulling, snapping body lines into creases, it's kind of like, I'm just going to go this route. And, for me, it ends up working out being easier, but I definitely do see the value in maybe trying to tough it out and, work the creases with the tool, at least just so I get a bit more proficient with it. Not that I can't do it. I would say that it would definitely take me longer in my mind, even if I have to open up the crease a million times or whatever. I think that I can do it cleaner with glue than with a tool a lot of times. But that, again, that could be going back to because I default to it so much and I'm so comfortable. So there are tons of situations where there's cracked paint or chips or whatever, or it's a repaint. So I definitely agree with you that I probably should, whether or not it's the fastest option for me or whatever, just be able to do it with a tool as well. So
look at that. Great. New versus old, baby. New versus old.
Right.
Hey, and if you guys can go on here, share this thing. I think it's, share it wherever you can share it. I think it's turning out to be, it's a long show, but I think there's some really good value and there's a lot of people in here watching this. So if you guys can get on there and just share it even while it's live, we'd all appreciate it. Make sure that you go to A1 Tools tonight if you're interested in that dentslayer tool, because tonight is the only night that it's going to be on sale. So go on there, place your order while you can. Keep going, Kyle.
All right, so I'm more or less through with my questions, but one of the ones that I have is, do you have any like random accessories that people might not think of that make your life a lot easier? Like one of the things that my father gave me, Ryan, that you put him onto was like a little plastic wedge to pull up the glue tabs when they get stuck. Yeah. So is there anything like that you guys have that are just kind of random small things, maybe not even necessarily intended for PDR, that you use?
So Ryan, I was thinking I think you should have a show about non-PDR tools.
I think that's a good one. Yeah, that's it right there. That's it.
Okay.
I think works fantastic.
There's tons of stuff out there, just non-PDR tools that are crossovers into this industry. 100%.
That's a good one. I
mean, what offhand, can I think of something? Oh man, I got to think about it.
2x4.
2x4.
I carry one in my truck. There's one at the shop. I mean, you never know. You know what I mean? You just never know with that thing.
Yeah. I would say some of the tool benders for sure, to be able to bend some tools. I mean, I'm old school. There's some tools that I will never, ever even think about bending. No way. But then there's other tools that I'm going to bend that sucker quick. And that's a lot of the old Dent Wizard tools. I mean, they're designed to bend and they're excellent at it. Nothing beats them for bending and bending back. I mean, that's just what they are. If you can get some, get some. But I'll bend the snot out of those. So tool benders for sure, man. I mean, again, because we're going back to getting on stuff, and you access, and you got to be able to do that. I mean, there's a skill not to be forgotten here of getting a tool on a dent. There is a skill to that. Do not underestimate that. There's lots of guys who go right to glue, but to be able to put a tool on a dent, there's a skill to that, man, and getting a tool on it. So many times I've come across that, and it's just a way of thinking about it. Knowing your tools, right? You got to know what's in my truck, and then knowing in your head, okay, if I go grab that, that'll get right on this sucker. And usually the first 2 or 3 tools I think of goes right to it, but there's skill to that.
I'm trying to think in my head. I'm trying to go through what I got that's, step stool. I mean, I'm a short little guy here, so I need that step stool.
Step stool, dude, perfect. I live and die by my step stool. I got a little foldable one, and because what we're dealing with is line of sight, on these dents. And man, there's nothing worse than just being where that dent's in that one location where you just can't get your right body position to be able to work it effectively, whether or not it's just the shoulder leverage or whether or not it's your eyes. And man, my little stool that I got, I'm able to just, I can sit on it, I can kneel on it, I can kind of one leg on it, I can stand on it. I'm at one with my stool. Like that thing goes with me. When I went to Australia, that thing went with me. I mean, that thing goes on the plane with me because I feel like I'm one with it.
And the stool for me, I mean, I do a lot of roofs.
Yeah.
I use that big, long, super long Endeavor crown jewel tool hammer. And sometimes I can see the crown when I step away, but when I get up next to the car, it's gone. You know what I mean? So sometimes I'll get on that step stool and use this super long hammer and I'm just wailing and everybody's looking at me like, he's 3 feet away from the car beating on this thing. But I'm like, hey, got these little Tyrannosaurus Rex arms. This is what we got to do.
Perfect. That's like, oh no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, even on like a car rail, like a small car, like a Civic, like I'll if I'm blending out some rail, I try to put my body like on that rail, and if I can, just because I'm high enough to see it, like if it's a small car, I still want my body up really high, and I almost want to be laying on the rail, like and so one leg in it way out with that. So I try to, I mess around a lot with my elevations in fixing dents. I mean, that's how you're going to see them. I mean, if you can't get down low effectively, and then you can't, it's not just getting down low, it's then you got to work it comfortably from that area. And so you're always playing with those elevations and the stool, man, that's just bought another one here from a shop.
Another thing that I use all the time, and it's different. You probably won't use these, Matt, but Kyle, you probably will. Buy a box of those hot hands, and it's those little packs that get hot.
Mm-hmm.
And I usually, like when it's super cold and I was working outside all the time, I'd break 4 of those out, and there'll be one in each pocket, one in my back pocket, and I would keep another one in my jacket pocket. And it wasn't so much for my hands. When I got to a dent, it was kind of sharp. I would just slap that thing on the dent and let it sit there while I'm getting all my stuff together. And what that did was it brought instant heat to that panel. And by the time I was pushing and getting ready to add the constant heat, it was somewhat warm.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
So, I'm a big hot hands. I've got a box of them in my truck. And if I know that I'm going to be outside or whatever, I break them out.
All right. So my final question, this probably varies definitely tech to tech. How soon during a repair do you begin to cross-check or push your light back? Meaning, like, at what depth, or what's something that you would see that would make you start to push your light back or change your position? Do you just do it by the amount of time that you worked on the dent, or do you have to are you trying to fix it good from one angle first and then switching it? Like, what's your guys' procedure for that?
So I ran into this quite a bit on the hill trail with guys. I mean, that's a pretty hot topic on the hill trail. And I would say there is a way that you can, when I'm repairing a dent, let's just say I'm working on a roof from the side window, and it's just a hail roof, nothing crazy, no complex damage, just some round dents. And I'm working the hail from the side. I'm thinking about what it looks like that way. I don't know if anyone else does this. I'm guessing maybe they do, but you can almost, I'm looking at it this way, but I'm thinking about, okay, what does this look that way? And even though I'm not seeing it in my light, I'm seeing it in my head. You're almost anticipating the cross check. right? And so there is something to that where you're kind of understanding this is going to look funky when I cross-check this, or this is going to be cornrowed up when I cross-check this. And that just comes with time on the tool, to where how many times have you fixed a hail roof where, oh man, this looks really good. And then you go look at it from the back and you're like, I got to redo the whole roof because it's just cornrowed up or whatever. And so if you do that a couple times, then you're going to slow down. And you're going to be like, okay, I need to think about what this is going to look like from the rear. And you'll work that into your repair. At least I do. I think of it that way. So you're anticipating it, and you're also learning what it needs to look like in your light. Like, am I creating something? Like, am I making a mess, or am I just not hitting the lows I need to hit? And you're identifying what this might look like from the back. And so, okay, these were just lows that I missed from the side. I'm going to go back over there. Okay, now this is what this looks like in my light, where you're thinking through what it's going to look like from the back. So, man, you got to get deep with it. You got to get deep with these things.
And I think, as a new guy, keep moving that board. Right now you're trying to figure out your bearings. You're trying to figure it out. I'm with Shane. He would fix stuff, and I'm like, it's still low. What? Did you move your board? No. Move your board back, and he's like, you're right. So a lot of it's, don't be scared, because you get in that groove. I get it. You get in that groove, you're like, man, this thing's going really good. And then you step away and it's like chopped up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's when you know, okay, let me stop a quarter in and just kind of see where we are. Because then if you're running it and it's going really good, then okay, I'm okay. Let me get in there and run it the same way I was running it before. But I know sometimes you get in that groove, you're like, man, this thing's coming out so clean. It looks amazing. And then you look at it this way and you're like,
did I do anything? Was I even working on it?
So a lot of it's like Matt said, you'll get set in your groove to where, even on a hail roof, if you're using one hail light and you just turn your head just a little bit and you're pushing with only using one light, you're almost cross-checking. You're changing that line of view, and you're able to really in your head fix that dent on the next dent the same way without even moving your head or moving the board. So a lot of it is you just need to figure out your style, is the way, what I call it,
right?
Because my style is different than his style, and everybody's is different. Exactly. Matt and I were trained by the same company. We have the same techniques, but we still fix dents differently. Okay. So I remember John Scotto was up here and we were fixing some stuff, and as a dent wizard guy, we were taught, get it all up as fast as we can, and then we'll clean it up. And the older as we get, I'm sure Matt's like that now. Now it's not like that. Now it's kind of finesse these things, less cleanup, cleaner repair. But,
sure.
A lot of it is just keep changing it. Get in there, get halfway through the dent, check it, or get a quarter through the dent, check it, see where you are. Because mentally, you're just trying to fix the dent. It's going to take a while for you mentally to do what Matt said with in your head, try to fix it the other without cross-checking. So you have to pick what task you want to handle. But I mean, Matt's exactly right with in your head, you're fixing it that other way.
So then in situations, let's say you can only work it from one angle because of the access. I would assume that you're going to try to knock it down from the other angle as a cross check. Does it same rules apply? You just kind of feel it out.
Yeah, I mean it's
a lot of that's just time out of the tool, man. I mean, and that's just going to come. But I mean, I think something to mention is, if I'm doing like a hail roof, and we're just going to use hail for example, is that I use these wide D&E lights. I got at least 3 strips, and that is a lot of that is, I don't want to say it's a cross check, but you're talking about different levels of light for the depth of that dent. So like I'm changing my height as I'm fixing those dents. I'm starting high, and then I'm squatting, my body position is lowering as that dent goes, and I'm dropping to that bottom lens or the LED on the light. And so you're doing that real time without even moving your light, right? You know, my brother's the type of guy who he'll put the light up in front of the front bumper on a hill car and fix the whole roof from the back without moving the light once. He can start it at that place, not a deep stretch dent. You got to have a little, you know, but like a general hill, he'll put it at the front bumper and he'll fix that whole roof from the finished position. Where I don't necessarily do start it from the finished position. I enjoy the experience of fixing it from different positions, I guess you would say, you know what I mean? Like seeing it through that. But I think that's just time in it, but using that light for that different, seeing the different depths of it. Also, I use lines too, man. I'm a line guy. I'm a light guy, but I'm a line guy. And I think there's something to be said about lines, and lines show you shape. They can show you shape that I don't think that the light can or does as easily. Maybe it can, but it's not going to be as easily. Where I can put a line board up and I can see everything that's going on. Whereas you put a light or a fade board up there, or even if it's a single light, like what are we talking about? Are we talking about a single light, or are we talking about a big double light, or fathead or something? So I think you gotta. For me, I use both. I'll put a line board up and I'll kind of get my shape back and make sure that there's no smile, the crown, and everything is right shape wise, and then I'll put that thing out and I'll go down to finish and I'll put my line board up and I'll just dial in my orange peel or whatever and get that right. So using both of those mediums, man, I think is good, and know how to use them and play with that, man. Those lines will show you stuff you've never seen in the light.
So I'll definitely admit, like, I started with lines initially a little bit, and then I tried to learn with just using the fog, which I was able to do. But like you said, there's something about sometimes when you just put the lines on it, you can see little things or little micro highs or micro lows or little waves that you might not have seen just in the fog. And I think the biggest difference with when I do, so I run 2 fog strips on the outside and then three strips down the middle. I don't know. It's just something about sometimes you don't have to move the light position. I think when you use lines is less important than when you're using fog. At least I find in my experience. So I feel like I can pick up things in the lines quicker than having to necessarily move my board back or higher or whatever to find smaller lows. So I tried to fix everything with all fog, but I found that I ended up getting cleaner repairs just using both. Having that extra cross check made a big difference for me.
If my eyes, when you got a fog, when you got that line in your light, man, if my eyes aren't, squared up with that line, then I'm dizzy. You know what I mean? And it's just, if you're working aside, you got to get your eyes right with that light to see it effectively. So that's where I can just throw a line board up there, and my eyes can be, wherever, and I'm going to see what's going on. I can from the side or whatever that is. So I'm going to get through something way faster initially with the lines, with bringing the shape back. And then go to my fog and finish it out. That's kind of how I do stuff.
I can't fix a damn thing with lines. Nothing.
Sorry for your luck. You should practice.
Can't do it. Can't figure it out.
Yeah, man. I was actually trained on what's called like a grid board. It looks like graph paper, where the lines are black, but the back of the board was a neon green, and it looked like graph paper or chicken wire, and that's what I was trained on. And then eventually I crossed over to lines. You there, buddy?
He's back.
Yep.
So I started with that, and then eventually I crossed over to lines. But it's the same thing. Is you can see the general shape differently. Like you can see more if you're just using a single fog. If you forget big fat heads and new lights, if you're just using a single fog, you're only realistically seeing what's in that sweet spot of that fog, right? When you're using a line board, or like I was referring to, I'm seeing that whole 12 by 14 inch space. I could see that all at once. I don't have to move my head. I can see everything. And so I get a better contextual understanding of what's going on with that panel, smiles or buckles or highs or whatever. So that's why I think there's something about lines. And I think it's just, man, knowing how to do both. You're only improving yourself, right? I mean, it's just a whole nother skill set. And I would say spend some time, get one, and just mess around with it. There's value in it. You're gonna surprise you one day, and you'll use it. You know, you'll see it.
Definitely makes a difference for me. That's all I got. You answered my question. You answered my question so well, and you were bringing things up that I would have asked you, but you crushed it throughout your replies. So
nice.
I think this was a great idea for a show, and I think we're gonna keep doing it. You know, maybe I'll bring this on once a month and pick old techs and new techs and try to get that information out, or techs that are trying to go from route to hail. You know, I think this brings a lot of value to the young guys, to where there's a lot of people in here that had the same questions Kyle had, that we answered them. You know what I mean? They didn't even have to ask, because a lot of the new guys, even us old guys, have the same questions. I mean, Matt and I were just talking on Tuesday about some stuff going on, and you know, the same thing happened to both of us. You know what I mean? So it's you know, how can guys find you? Both of you guys, why don't you get that going? You know, go ahead, Kyle.
I'm on Instagram at the Dent Goblin, so that's where I'm at. You can find me there. I always love to talk PDR, always friendly. Love talking, so don't be afraid to hit me up if you got questions.
And the nicest guy.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I mean?
Everybody was like, man, you got Kyle on? I'm like, yeah.
I really enjoy talking to people and connecting and reaching out, figuring out how other people do things. There's so much value, like you were saying, and seeing how other people repair things. I'm not stuck in my one way. I want to learn all the ways, you know what I mean? And it'll only make you better in the long run.
Sure.
Well, thanks for coming on, Kyle. I'm glad.
I appreciate you having me.
You had some good questions for Mr. Boyette.
Yeah, I hope I wasn't too much of a pest.
Hopefully I had some good answers.
You definitely did, man. I learned a lot. I really did.
Thanks.
All right, brother. You have a great night. Thank you for coming on.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys.
Later, buddy.
See you
later.
That was great. It was a great show. It was long. I mean, it's an hour and 47 minutes, but I mean, there's still 47 people in here right now. So,
jeez.
You know, it was good. It was a good show.
I agree. And, you know, we were talking about earlier, you know, like sharing knowledge and passing down what we know. And, man, that's what it's about. I mean, that's what your show's about. And I'm thankful for that. It's been a good show, man. You've had a good thing going here for a while. And I'm glad I could be on it. I'm thankful for what you do and the guests that you have on here, to be able to come in and give back and share with the community. You know, again, we were talking about what's in it for us to do that, you know? Like, there's got to be something internal going on that just, you know, makes you feel good about doing it, passing down what you know, because there's no monetary thing that we're going to get from that, but it's sharing the knowledge, man. And I enjoy doing that. I know you do. Your show's been super helpful for that, whether or not it's tools or guests or whatever, man. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to it. I don't catch it every week, man, but I try. And
yeah, no, it's a lot of guys. A lot of guys, like Dave said. Dave was on a couple weeks ago, and he's like, I used to catch it live. I just don't have time now. And I was like, it's why it's on multiple platforms. You know what I mean? It's on YouTube. It's on Facebook. So, you know, I'm super excited for you. I'm so happy that you teamed up with A1 and got that tool out, and the link's on here. If you guys are interested, get it tonight. You know,
another look at it.
You know, I'm going to have to order me one over here, and as soon as we get off the interweb here. But, you know, and at that price point, it's priced correctly. So
sure. And stay in touch, man. I mean, I've got my head's full of things, and it's just getting those things into fruition, right? Into real real
I'm just waiting
tangible
on you to
things.
come out with your own hammer. I'm just waiting.
It's coming. Let's just say that. It's in the works. And there's a few other things. There's some other ideas that I've had and that have come out, but they've kind of fizzled. And then I'm trying to revive some of these things. So I would just stay tuned. Hopefully I can get some of these things going again and make them available to guys. That's my goal, to do that. So,
well, I appreciate you coming on. Hope you have a great day tomorrow, and I'm excited for your retail shop too, man. So congrats.
yeah, thanks. I really appreciate it. We're looking forward to what it's going to do. We're in a good spot and good shop, good building, and so we're hopeful, despite COVID, despite the challenges that we can't control. We're hopeful that it'll do well. Like I said, it's kind of been my life goal as a technician to get to that point.
Yeah.
And then like to be here feels really, really good. So yeah. Thank
right,
you.
brother.
Appreciate it.
You had a great evening. I
Okay,
appreciate
man.
you coming on.
Yep.
And I will chat with you.
Take it easy, guys. All the viewers. See you in the next one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
But what a show, man. It was a great show. I'm glad it all worked out, with both of these guys and some of the questions. And hopefully you guys got something out of it. Don't forget, next week, Black Friday show. Wednesday, I will launch the time on Sunday after I get everybody's time slot worked out. But it's going to be good. There's a lot of really good deals coming out that I know of, a lot of new tools. There's going to be a lot of new tools getting revealed during that show. I know of 3 manufacturers that are dropping new stuff. So should be a super long, super painful, super stressful show, but I know everybody likes it. So we're going to get through it. I appreciate you guys watching every week, coming in here. And like I said, if you guys can share this or whatever you can do, I really appreciate it. Just keep trying to get it out there to, more people and more people. So you guys have a great evening, and wash your damn hands. Be safe. And I will see you on the next one. Keep it real. Have a great night, guys. Thank you.